Mike, my parents predicted the downfall of Cracker Barrel 3 years ago.
Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Ramsey!
Good to see you again, Marshall. Glad we're still talking about Cracker Barrel, for
Uh,
goodness sake.
oh, oh yeah. There's a lot of food for fodder there.
We're going to ride that train as long as we can.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Just put us in a Cracker Barrel and send us down the river. It'll be fantastic. So your parents basically have some sort of Jedi, psychic abilities to determine Fortune, 500 companies and their fates years in advance.
I'm going to tell you that approximately 10 years ago, I started realizing that if my parents told me about what they had been doing for the week, and it involved going to so and so's funeral visitation, and I brought some soup to so and I saw so and so at Walmart, and I don't know who so and so is, it's probably a Cracker Barrel server. Like they're at Cracker Barrel a lot. Um,
Well,
and
we wondered who was keeping the chain afloat.
Well, it's been my parents. I mean, pretty
Okay.
regularly.
Yeah,
And
somebody was keeping them afloat. Somebody else was buying Slim Whitman albums, because
wow,
they just kept selling them. So,
where did that come from? Oh my God. Trying to derail me.
oh
Bring
yeah.
up musicians and you get me down a sidetrack. Oh, Marshall. Last week I was in Nashville with a client and I played some music that they were, I think, not expecting me to play. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna play some Britpop. And the politically conservative, like really aggressive salesperson on the sales floor, he's out of nowhere. He goes, "How about the complete works of Depeche Mode, Mark?" And I was like, "I have those." And then the GSM of the store said, "What about the Smiths?" I was like, were you planted here to like rile me up? Yes, I have the Smiths. Of course I have the Smiths. How do you even know who the Smiths are? But I was in Nashville. Everybody there is music people, right? They all have
Oh
stories.
yeah.
It was kind of a good time.
The
Anyway,
yeah. Well, I'm certainly glad I didn't derail you.
well, you did. And but the good news is Nashville is very near Cracker Barrel headquarters, and that gets us back on track. So
Nicely played.
there you go.
Nicely. Well played.
But yeah, so I'll tell you briefly the story is my parents they were okay with Cracker Barrel. Um, they really like their servers. They really like the staff and management even at the local Cracker Barrel, and have gotten to know them over the years. I mean, really know them pretty well. They're regulars, like that's a thing. Um, and here's where it all started to come off the rails is they started changing the menu. Now, look, brands are allowed to do that, right? Brands are allowed to adjust their offerings to better serve their market, et cetera. But mom and dad just kept noticing that things were getting axed from the menu or degraded on the menu. Like the quality was going down, and and it was nothing else was picking up. Like everything just seemed like it was. I'll use the phrase diluting the brand. It was like
Mhm.
just the quality was worse. So that was years ago. That was like maybe I don't know 7 years ago that they were talking about that. And then they started. Look, these servers at this Cracker Barrel understand they're not complaining to customers. They're complaining to my mother, who is asking them specific questions. All right, so I want to be clear that my mom has a little bit of a gift of getting people to open up, and they did, and some of them tearfully. And what had happened was Cracker Barrel had decided to start selling alcohol. Now, again, restaurants are allowed to do that. What was a little bit of a hard press for Cracker Barrel was that they were doing it in the buckle of the Bible Belt, for one thing, and two, doing it with buckle of the Bible Belt employees who might even think that you shouldn't drink alcohol. And strike three, they had a metric by which they were measured on how many, I can't remember if it was how many sales or how many times you offered it, but either way, it was making the servers very uncomfortable. And so that was, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago when that happened. I don't know. And and so they were just starting to see things like that where it seemed like the employees were getting less and less engaged because the quality of what the brand stood for had gone down. The things that the brand stood for, the values even seemed to have changed a little bit because alcohol was such a hot button for this area. This area, I think, being the majority of the South, which might be where a lot of the Cracker Barrels are. So big changes to the brand, dilution of the brand, and so we have a family text thread, and my wife said to my mom on the text thread, what do you think about this new Cracker Barrel logo? Mom said, I knew it was happening. Like she already knew. She'd already been brought up to speed. So so my parents didn't see the brand change their logo and say, this is terrible. They saw the organization fall away from what the brand stood for and said, yeah, not as interested anymore. Not a regular anymore. They're not loyal.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The degradation of the primary product,
Right.
uh, is just frightening. And when these things happen, like when the whole Cracker Barrel thing came out, then you started to see all these employees starting to post videos of how the food is currently prepared.
Right.
Herschel and Grandma, Aunt B, are not back there, making meatloaf and country fried steak. And, they're showing they get, food trucks come in, like the meatloaf is prepackaged in a plastic bag. You order it, they put it in the microwave, and I noticed this the last time I ate there that the food was cold in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like on
Not
the
that good.
edges, yeah, it was warm, but in the middle it was cold. And you're like, well, how's that happen, right? Did it sit out till the server brought it? I'm like, no, it would have been cold. Like, the physics didn't make sense until this guy said, yeah, 100% of this stuff is microwaved.
Yeah.
It's microwaved, and most of the time we're in a hurry, so we don't microwave it long enough. So it's warm on the outside, cold in the middle. And the green beans, tasted like they came out of a can. And the cornbread was so dry on the edges, you didn't even eat the edges. And so it's one of those things where what used to be kind of a treat, a traveling treat, we don't have
Yeah.
one nearby us, but when you were traveling, you see the big sign, you're like, oh man, yeah, we're gonna go, walk around, stretch our legs in the gift shop, and have some country fried steak, and then get back on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at some point, like we didn't consciously make the decision, but at some point, it just didn't emote the same feelings in you
Right.
when you saw the sign, when you knew one was coming up, and you just drove past it, right? And you went to someplace else.
The brand had a promise and it no longer delivered on the promise. And
Oh yeah.
that's it's in this case it's like, oh well, go eat at another restaurant. In other cases, it's pretty egregious when it happens. You and I have talked about our struggles. For me with Apple Computer, it's been rough. It has been rough. And it's because the branding that was so true in the early days of me buying my own machines. I grew up with Macintosh products since I was 10 in 1987. We had a Mac SE sitting on the table in the dining room. But it just works. And it did. It absolutely did until the iPhone was ascendant, and then they started changing everything to say, yeah, let's just fit it all into this ecosystem. And now you'll get error messages that say things like, an error has occurred. Click OK. That's what Windows did, like that, anyway. But these are brands that have strayed from what they stand for. And I'm not weeping over Cracker Barrel, frankly, because what Cracker Barrel stood for was remember those old fashioned diners and good home cooking places that we ran out of business because we were the big boy on the block. You can get a taste of that here. And I do miss, we had in Berea, it was the Dixie Kitchen. It was the greatest restaurant in the world. The lady named Chris that ran it. I just found out that I was told this literally a week ago. A guy at my church worked late shift, third shift for a factory in town, and he worked with Chris's son. And they would go in at 3 in the morning, and Chris would have a spread at the Dixie Kitchen just for those guys that were coming off shift. I've never been more jealous in my entire life. But that was, home cooking, right? That was local people
Hmm.
cooking stuff with love with their own hands. And Cracker Barrel was sort of a way to say, let's export that to the rest of the world. And I buy into that level. Kind of cool that you could go in a variety of places and get the same experience when you saw that brand, right? Like that was a nice thing to be able to do. Um,
Hmm.
and then they strayed from it, right? And then they strayed from it.
Oh yeah. No, no, my favorite example of this is when you've been on hold with some corporation's, toll-free number. You've been on hold for a while, and then the recording says, "Your call is important to us."
Right.
And I just start screaming at the phone. No, it's not. No, it's not. If it was important to you, you'd pick up the phone and talk to me. You would have answered my call. If you're, yeah, don't tell me this is something that's important if you're not going to do it. Yeah, it makes me crazy.
Yep.
The other thing that I've noticed with this, right? If you want a checkup on how are we doing in regards to what our stated brand is versus the experience we're providing is, I've got one of the dealerships I work with, right, their goal is to be fast, transparent, and unique.
Hmm.
Right? They don't want to do it like everybody else. They want to be transparent, right? We'll show you everything. And they want to do things quickly.
Yep.
And so when you read the Google reviews, it's fascinating to read how many people either use the exact words
Yeah.
or use the synonyms of, I guess synonyms is the right word, the synonyms of words that convey the same message, right?
Totally.
We got in and out of there so quickly.
Yep.
Right. They were so honest and showed us, all the documentation. Right. We went to a number of places. We wish we'd have went to this place first. They're not like everybody else. And so as you read through there, you're like, okay, they're saying fast, transparent, and unique. They're just saying it in different ways, but it
Love it.
gives you a sense of, I think we're doing it. Think what we've stated, and it's not like in the dealership. I don't think the dealership has a single sign with any of this verbiage on it.
Yeah.
And there's not. It's not on the back of every business card. It's not on the point of sale materials. It's not on the website. I think it is, but it's buried like 4 clicks away.
Yeah.
So it's organically the feelings that's being created are in line with the stated vision.
Being
And
nice and
so
intentional.
yeah, I got this alignment. And so all you'd have to do is look at your reviews, look at your customer feedback, and look to see, right, are they what are they talking about, and does it align with who you said you wanted to be? And you'll have a real sense of, is there more work to be done here? Or yeah, we're on the path, man, we're doing it.
Well, I love that example. I mean, it's just, the proof's in the pudding, and you can go through those reviews and find out. It also assumes that you have decided what you are to be about. The values behind your brand, the
Mhm.
things that you stand for as an organization. So, quick plug, Mike and I love helping organizations filter through that, and get to the real nut of what their DNA really is about for that organization and what they are sending out into the world or what they intend to send out in the world. So if you are looking for help with that, we would love to help you crack that nut.
Oh man, look how you worked the word crack in there. That was really good. Like Cracker Barrel. Nice. Very nice. Yep. We are here and ready to serve. And speaking of willing to serve, our announcer works pro bono, I might add. Always here to send us off. Take it away, Mr. Wolf.
And that's a wrap. The musings of Mark and Mike. No rights reserved, etc. Feel free to share and discuss what you heard today. Even claim the ideas as your own. Who'd want to do that? See you next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius. Thanks.
That's good enough.